This is the Barry Richards Show. WBSM On Demand.
Without further ado,
WBSM presents The Barry Richards Show. Streaming live on WBSM.com and the WBSM app. Call 508-996-0500. Text us using App Chat on the WBSM app. Now, The Barry Richards Show.
It's a rare condition this day and age to read any good news on the newspaper page. And love and tradition of the grand design, some people say, is even harder to find. Well, then there must be some magic clue inside these gentle walls. 'Cause all I see is a tower of dreams, real love bursting out of every scene. We're gonna fill our house with happiness, but we'll smother the blues with tenderness.
Hour 3 of the Barry Richards Show. Barry is going to be back on Wednesday. Ken Pittman will be sitting in on Monday and Tuesday. Barry, I don't think he really gambles, but he and his wife really do like going out to Vegas. Let's see, Swansea, 44, and it looks like it's going to rain. I'm not sure that rain is in the forecast, but it looks like it's going to rain. Fairhaven, 45, and 45 in New Bedford. It's WBSM.com in your web browser. You can listen to us through the web. You can check out about how you can win cash, which I promise you'll get the opportunity to do sometime during this hour. And Monthly Fee RX, the proud sponsor of the quote of the day. If you're spending less than $20 a month for prescription drugs, great. If not, monthlyfeerx.com might be a good option for you. And what do you think about our quote of the day from Betty Davis? Gay liberation? I ain't against it. It's just that there's nothing in it for me. Not exactly sure when she said it. She's been dead for several decades now. Gay liberation, ? I ain't against it. It's just that there's nothing in it for me. I hear her. Let's quickly go back and then we can, if you want to, move on to something else. But I started off last hour talking about the tax dollars, our tax dollars being used to fund what's going on that Israel is using, and also tax dollars going to Ukraine, and also to this one, at least it's being requested by our government to be used by Kenya, $200 million for Kenya to then send troops over to Haiti. And the way I'm envisioning it, those troops will go into Haiti to quell what are being told to us as roaming gangs just going wild all over Haiti. My understanding is most of the fighting is going on in and around Port-au-Prince. But there is a lot more to the island than just Port-au-Prince, never mind the cutoff that belongs to the Dominican Republic. So I'm definitely against sending our money to Kenya. And the Kenyan Supreme Court has says that's unconstitutional. So at this particular time, they're not accepting the money in order to send the troops over to Haiti. The United States tried doing the same thing with Brazil. I believe Guyana and Barbados. for some reason, the island of Haiti, or that portion of the island of Haiti, is very important to the United States. Now, I understand France, because they got kicked out of there many years ago, and they're still stinging from that. The United States, why do they want the control? I know Haiti's, 90 miles away, but what's so important that the United States needs to have their fingers in the pie dealing with Haiti? And then you wonder why there's so many Haitian refugees coming to the United States. That's why they're going to end up getting asylum here. Because of what we created there, or helped to create over there. So let me just beef this up just a little bit for you. Our tax dollars have gone to fund the weaponry that Israel is using against what they would say against Hamas, but certainly the Palestinians. How do we deny Palestinians refugee status here in the United States? And to put a little cherry on top of that, don't you think that there might be some of those Palestinians ripping mad that the United States funded the weaponry that blew up their home, blew up their family members, and basically got them to leave their homeland to come to another homeland known as the United States? 508-996-0500. Hello.
Hey, Brian, how you doing today?
Wangin'.
Good. Hey, talking about armaments. I've been watching this.
Talking about what, please? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Armaments,
okay.
And armaments, right? Now, the Haiti rebels or gangs, whatever, if you notice when you watch the newsreels, they're all using American weapons, M16s, and their sidearms are the Berettas, which our troops carry, which caught me off guard because I'm so used to seeing Russian AK-47s and RPGs throughout the Middle East and Africa. And I'm saying, well, why do these radicals have weapons from the United States?
Because they come in from the United States. They come in from here.
Right. So I'm saying, but they're all the American weapons. So I'm saying, so America's going to have something behind there.
You think?
They're not telling us. It's hilarious. And that's just like when we talk about Israel and Palestine. If you look at maps prior to 1949, I believe it is, Palestine is where Israel is. At 49, I guess
correct.
The British and
yes.
Probably the United Nations said, okay, we're going to give this to the Jewish people who need a place to live. And they took Palestine away from the Palestinians. That's going to leave a bad taste in your mouth even after all these years.
Well, it's true, but even at that, there is a borderline, and Israel is going after the other property that, after 1967, the United Nations has already said, wait a minute, this is Gaza and this is West Bank. This is Palestinian land. And yet Israel keeps going for it. Yeah. I don't condone what happened on October 7th, but I get it. They are tired of what Israel has done to them. Folks don't want to look at it that way.
No,
they think it's okay. And you know why? Because they think of the Palestinians as second-class citizens.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that. That's how most people I've ever talked to talk about them. They just use whatever nasty terms to explain who they are. And then, the Israelis, and then if you say Jews, they get all upset. But basically, Israel's made up of Jews. I mean, primarily.
Yeah, overwhelmingly Jewish. But the fact of the matter is they're Israelis, because even here in the United States, there are a lot of Jews that are coming out. They can't understand. They can't believe what Israel is doing. You have rabbis coming out. They're absolutely baffled. They want this to stop. They can't believe what Israel is doing. There are people that were thinking about moving to Israel because they get that status if they want to move to Israel, they have thought twice about going. Not thought twice. They're not going because they don't like what's going on, what the Israelis are doing right now. They when they go on those tours, they never get to see what's going on in the West Bank, what's going on in Gaza, or what's happening to Arab Israelis that live there. They don't allow those folks to vote. Israel is not a democracy.
No, they are not. And I have two friends whose parents had moved over to Israel, one 10 years ago and maybe one about 8 years ago. They've both moved back, not because they're afraid of what's going on, but they are just not happy with what the Israelis are doing. And they've come back to the United States.
It's too bad. It really is sad.
It really is.
Because I have long been, and believe it or not, despite how you hear me talking today, I am still a supporter of an Israeli homeland. But I'm also a supporter of a homeland for the Palestinians.
Correct. That it has to be. That's all it has to be.
Yeah, but
sure.
Israel doesn't want that.
No.
And you know what? You know what's really sad about this? If Israel keeps going the way that they are, Israel is going to lose their own homeland.
Yes, I would believe so. I think that way. A lot of my friends think the same way when we talk about it.
Yeah. And why are you and your friends talking about it?
It's just, we get it because we remember, we were at the age in 1967 when it happened, and it was sort of a heroic thing. Poor little Israel was against all those Arab nations, and they said, wow, they fought for themselves, and they did well. And now they're just doing the same thing that was done to them. And we go, that's just not right.
Well, it is not. You're absolutely correct. And there have been people that compare what Israel is doing right now to what happened to the Jews during World War II.
Yeah,
I haven't quite put it all together like that. But look, if I'm hearing Jewish people say it, then who am I?
That's the way I figure too.
Yeah, I mean, it's really sad, but I'd like to bring this back home because if you don't think, if there are a lot of people that think that Israel is winning at this particular time, so I can take it down their particular road. All right, so Israel wins. All right, the Palestinians no longer have a homeland. And where do you think they're going to resettle? One of the places is going to be the good old U.S. of A., the same country that funded the war effort against them. Yeah. How do you think those Palestinians are going to feel here in the United States?
They can only feel they'd be horrified that that's going on with them. The way they feel in their hearts about being basically deserted or turned on like that. And
do you think that at any time that 1, 2, 10, 15, 100 might go rogue here in the United States?
I'm sure. I mean, you have a lot of protests that are getting more and more violent in what they do.
You got that right.
Off the charts right now, but they are getting violent, and they're getting more and more out there. So there's going to come that one time when somebody crosses the line on one side or the other and provokes the other into more, and it's just going to become a hellhole.
Thanks, man. I appreciate your call.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Bye-bye.
You too. 508-996-0500. And I certainly don't want that. I certainly don't want people that would be allowed to come here to the United States as refugees coming here legally because we kind of helped fund their demise over in their homeland. And then all of a sudden they decide, hey, we don't necessarily need to do the World Trade Center, but we can do something devastating just to get back at them. And you might say, well, if they get caught, they'll go to trial. Here's the thing. I don't want them upsetting the apple cart here. And part of the problem is our tax dollars are funding the Israeli effort at this particular time. And if our tax dollars, if the Biden administration, whether it's Blinken, whether it's Austin, whether it's Biden, whether it's Harris, if they would say, hey, look, you're slaughtering people that are innocent here. And by our own laws, that's unconstitutional. We're not going to fund your effort until you stop it. I bet you Israel would stop because nobody else wants to fund Israel at this particular time. And do you blame them? 508-996-0500. That's how you get on the Barry Richards Show. Oh, welcome back. I was reading, as I do quite often, whether I use my phone or the computer or print out a paper or whatever the case may be. And we have mentioned certainly tax dollars and where they're going on the program today, mostly dealing with the federal tax dollars. Going to bring it back in state right now. We heard from Ariel, and I also believe from Phil, that the state universities are going to be raising tuition and fees, room and board fees. They want to do it to the tune of about 2.5%. And then I was reading, I think, in the Boston Globe yesterday, facing a sustained drop in enrollment and short on funds to maintain campuses and state-of-the-art programs, Massachusetts's 9 regional public colleges are approaching an inflection point. So I thought to myself, what do you mean by an inflection point? Here's what they mean, the Boston Globe anyway. Will these schools have to consolidate? Or will Beacon Hill's new investments in financial aid revive them to serve a new generation of students? And the question then is, where is this money coming from? Will Beacon Hill's new investments in financial aid revive them? Beacon Hill puts that kind of money in, then these schools are going to say, well, we can keep on spending. I was over at my storage place on my way into the station today, and I was talking to the guy running it as I was paying my monthly bill. And he says, have a good weekend. He's going up to UMass Lowell with his son, who was looking at UMass Lowell as a place for him to go to school. He already looked at UMass Dartmouth. And he's a bit hesitant. You know, as a father, he's a bit hesitant about his son going off to school. More hesitant about the fact at the price tag. You know, he's looking at $18,000 if his son decides to go to either UMass Dartmouth or UMass Lowell. And I said, you know, these schools are already crying that they don't have the money. And of course, most parents want to do the best for their kids. You know, some of the other schools that this kid is looking at, Wentworth, which is hovering in the $40,000 range, a school down in Florida, which is in the $50,000 range. I have the not so sneaking suspicion that more and more kids, whether you have the caliber brain to go to a Wentworth because you want to be an engineer or an architect, or you want to get a degree, you need to get a degree from a in-state, either state university or bigger state university like the 9-campus system that a lot of kids are going to start going to school online. They will, and it will be hybrid. It will be hybrid. There'll be times that you need to be on campus, but many of the classes like your math and your English, your humanities, you can take those classes online. There might be certain classes, if you're an engineer, where you have to physically be on campus. But there'll be a lot of classes where you can study from home. And I think that's the way the system is going to be. And there'll be universities what do they call that? University of Southern New Hampshire or Southern New Hampshire University, where you can do all your classes online. And the system saves money, and you, the family, save money, and the child gets a quality education. And more to the point, if you're doing it online, then you don't need to live anywhere near where you're going to school. There are kids in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts that are going to UCLA, as in the University of California, Los Angeles, because they can do it from home. Great school. University of Phoenix got this all started, I don't know, almost 20 years ago. And I believe for the yous and me's, the taxpayers, we have to be talking to our representatives, our state reps, our state senators, and pushing online education. Because if we don't, we're going to be taxed to death. We're already there. We're already there. And right here, a story right here from, I believe, yesterday's Boston Globe. Enrollment is plummeting. Can the state's regional public colleges compete? Why is it plummeting? Because it's too darn expensive. Gone are the days where you can go to a BCC, a 4Cs down on the Cape, a community college, for about $5,000, $6,000. And you commute. And, right now, that's the bang for your buck. I have a friend whose daughter is at BCC doing the dental hygiene school. She wants to be a hygienist. In fact, I'm going to go see her next week. She went to BCC, got her associate's degree. Now she is wrapping up getting her hygienist credentialing. And she'll go out and she'll make some good bucks. When she's on her own, she wants to travel around the state and work for different dental offices. What she does is in high demand. I guess there aren't as many hygienists out there as one would be led to believe. If you have grandchildren right now that are at that age where they're going from middle school to high school, or they're in high school right now, somewhere near that point of, well, I don't know exactly what it is I want to do. In my day, we were told, hey, look, if you've got anything going for yourself, you want to go college track. Right now, I'm of the feeling that if you can get into a Voc, go for it. Now, I know the folks at New Bedford High are probably saying, "Oh, don't push them in that direction. We want bright students at our school too." Yeah, and I get it. But here's here's the thing. You're pushing people to go on to college. And I'm not trying to say college is bad. I'm a college graduate. But at this particular time, it is too expensive. And if kids can't get their families to help out because the families are paying the taxes to have the bombs go over to Israel or helping out with Ukraine or trying to send troops from Kenya over to Haiti, go figure that one out. And then all the different things that are going on here in the Commonwealth. I can understand why parents are saying, look, we'd love to help you out, but it's too difficult at this particular time. So then what do? You tell Henry or Jane, you might want to consider being a plumber, a carpenter, a seamstress. If people still do that kind of work. You know, I wish I could get a hold of someone like Deborah Coelho, who does that type of work still, if she's still around here. Because I think she would agree with me at this particular time. That is a good route to take. 508-996-0500. Hello.
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 Hi, can you hear me?
Very well.
Okay, thank you. I totally agree with you. At this point in time, college grads are having a very difficult time to get jobs if they're going to stay in this area. If they're going to go to Boston or New York, well, that's different. But in this area, they're having a very difficult time.
And why do you think that is?
Well, because a lot of the companies in this area, if they're still functioning, are cutting back on the number of employees that they have so that they can save some money and not have to pay for insurance. And that's happening. I mean, that's happening in some of our medical facilities. It's happening across the board. So there's more part-time jobs. But again, your insurance is not included.
And part-time jobs don't, you might be able to eke out half of your rent if you're not living at home, but it's not going to pay that student loan.
That's right. That's right. And we need tradespeople in this area. There are jobs for tradespeople in this area. And also they can go to, Providence. They can, go within the distance around here and get jobs. But college grad, nope. It's just not the jobs. They're not going to get paid what they'd get paid in New York or in Providence or in Boston. They're just not going to. This area doesn't have, they don't have the money.
I think you can live in this area and either commute to the Bostons of the world, or as we're finding, more people are working online right now, so they don't have to make that commute.
True. But even those working online, a lot of their positions are part-time positions.
Yeah, there probably are. Depends on what it is. But I think there are a lot of call center type jobs that are definitely part-time. You might be able to work 40 hours, but you're still getting that hourly pay that's part-time.
Right. You're right. So,
no, I'm the idiot. Whatever you think, I am the idiot.
Why are you the idiot?
Because people say I am.
Well,
I go with their flow.
They need to open their eyes and really look at what's going on around here.
And I got to tell you, what's going on around here is also going around in Fall River, in Lowell, Lawrence, Worcester, Springfield, Pittsfield. It's happening in all those gateway type cities. Brockton.
Correct.
But it's also happening in the major cities, the Providences and the Bostons, because those cities can't keep the businesses in their city. So now they have all of this office space and retail space that's opening up. The poop is hitting the fan. And I don't know how long it's going to keep on splattering in the fan, but we're going through that cycle right now.
Correct. But the other thing, too, with all the businesses that leave, well, the governor she'll be happy because now she can put all the immigrants in for housing. Isn't that wonderful?
Well, if there's bathroom space, yes. I don't know. I'm making a joke out of it. Maybe I shouldn't, but
no, it's true.
Yeah. I mean, you know, code would say that there has to be a bathroom for X amount of people. There has to be a shower and that kind of stuff. But I get what I thought the same way that you did, and then somebody started throwing, well, you got codes. Well, you know what? This is an emergency, so I think you're absolutely right. They can be thrown into office space.
Sure. For sure. So, but thank you.
Thank you for your call. 508-996-0500. That's how you get onto the program today. Brian's Beat starting at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. We started the show off today talking about the earthquake that hit down in central New Jersey earlier this morning, about 10:25 this morning. Folks in Fairhaven and Freetown felt it. I was just looking online, and according to SouthCoastToday.com, folks at the Taylor School in New Bedford recorded it. They have a seismograph over there, and apparently it recorded. I don't know if anybody actually felt the earthquake at the school, but they did indeed get the effects of the earthquake on their seismograph. That's pretty cool. I didn't know that there were elementary. I didn't know that there were any schools that had that kind of technology. Never mind the Taylor School, never mind an elementary school. But I guess that's pretty cool. And we had a couple of calls earlier today with people saying, yeah, I felt that earthquake. I thought it was something. I remember my first earthquake. I thought it was something too. I was sitting there. I was in front of a microphone like I am right now, and the microphone in and of itself, it's on a boom stand, and it just dropped down, and I felt a little bit of a rumble. I wasn't quite sure, but I made a comment. Did anybody feel what I think was an earthquake? And all of a sudden, yeah, got a few calls, and it's the first one. It's interesting to actually be on the radio at that particular time. But since then, I have experienced several earthquakes, and one where I ended up working a good 16, 17, 18 hours covering it before I was able to go home and take a little bit of a nap. But it's interesting that at the Taylor School, they have the equipment, and I'm actually looking at somebody in front of the equipment. There's a picture. If you go to SouthCoastToday.com, you can see it. Earthquake felt in New Bedford. Registers on seismograph installed at C-Lab. Well, I guess C-Lab, yeah. I think of the Taylor School. Sometimes I don't think of C-Lab. either way, I'm glad that they were able to pick it up. All right, I'm going to take a brief break, and then for those that join me on Saturday morning, I'm going to give you a bit of a preview about what we will dig into tomorrow. Let's see. Howie is coming up after the news. Ariel will have the local news. Ceci will have the weather. ABC at the top of the hour. Tomorrow on Brian's Beat, a little bit of what we talked about during the heart of today's show, going back to the tax dollars. Would you prefer, I'm going to leave it up to you. I'm very interested in your answer to this. Would you prefer your tax dollars be used to fund what's going on in Ukraine, what's going on in Israel, what could be going on still in Haiti? Those are federal tax dollars, but it's still your tax dollars. Or would you like some of those federal tax dollars to be used to take care of our homeless vets, our homeless children? I don't mean people that are coming in